Listen now, we the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. Ha. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Ha. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. Going into Thanksgiving weekend, we have some good games for you predicting today. We also have some spicy news in the fantasy world going into the critical part of the season from Smokey later. But first of all, Smokey, how are you doing?
Oh, man, not bad. Because, you know why I'm not bad? Well, even though the Falcons lost horribly, like I kind of knew they would anyway, so it's not that big of a blow. But I also gained my extra point back on you that I had lost the previous week. What was the total? It was 10-9 last week.
Man, I was so glad I had the Eagles, but then the Cardinals broke the cycle against Seattle. And that let me down big time.
Yeah, the Raiders you picked for some reason.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Why would anyone do that?
Exactly.
Yeah, Seattle's looking bad. So we came into this call, and basically the first thing you said is like we talked about the Falcons and Patriots really quickly, and since the Falcons lost in a bad way to the Patriots, you need a way to cope with that, and you have developed a hypothesis, a conspiracy theory of sorts, shared with the world.
Well, there's nothing better than coping with a loss, there's no better way of coping with a loss than by coming up with a conspiracy theory and a reason why your team has been conspired against.
True.
Now, here's what's happening. Tom Brady is headed back for the Super Bowl again. And what if the Patriots are also headed for the Super Bowl? Could this be a passing of the torch moment where you see the new Tom Brady finally take down the old Tom Brady? And the torch is passed on, and then the power has shifted back to the Patriots once again.
And how is it conspiratorial whenever the Bucs and Patriots just both happen to be good? It's not like they suck and they get all the calls, right?
Oh, well, you never say that Tom Brady's not getting all the calls.
Well, okay, Tom Brady, he's getting more calls than like he maybe should, but the Buccaneers are a loaded team, and the Patriots are also just really good.
Yeah, I mean, they are, but and it could be just the NFL taking. I'm not saying this is actually happening. I'm saying that this is a possibility, and it would make the NFL a lot of money if it plays out like this.
Yeah,
and
it would.
Why would you? If they see this developing, they're like, wow, the Patriots are not that bad. This could be a scenario that we can make a lot of money. What if they start pushing in that direction somehow?
Tom Brady versus Belichick versus Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, what if we see Mac Jones like Brady? Anybody that touches Brady, you get a penalty automatically. Everything is roughing the passer. If you breeze by him too fast and the wind hits him, it's roughing the passer. What if that starts happening to Mac Jones? What if these flags are thrown and Mac Jones runs up to the ref and says, "No, that's not going to happen," and he's like, "Okay, no penalty." Well, we've seen that happen for Tom Brady.
We know that, like, with being on the Patriots, of course, Belichick is sort of an expert at using the rules to his advantage in every possible opportunity. But I think in terms of the player, this is something that's only going to happen whenever he's costing a lot of money. So right now he's a rookie, he's relatively expendable in a weird sense. Once he's at that like superstar status and he's making hundreds of millions, then that becomes a lot more likely. Because remember the season that Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone, that ended up inspiring a lot of the changes and the quarterback hits roughing the passer. Like, that TV ratings went notably down for the rest of that season, and that was a season where a lot of superstars were hurt, by the way. But that's I think once you're getting into that status where money's involved, there's no doubt that the NFL is probably not the most impartial it could possibly be in some situations. And we've seen the similar thing happen with the Steelers and Chargers with Cam Hayward there. That you've seen that clip of him punching Justin Herbert on the ground.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot more questionable already, and I would not be surprised if he ended up fined or even suspended. But imagine that was Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady on the ground instead of Justin Herbert. I mean, he
suspended immediately.
6 games. He got the Myles Garrett treatment. He'd been out. And imagine if Mason Rudolph had been Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, he'd be out of the league forever.
Oh yeah.
Which he probably should have been either way, but that's neither here nor there. We'll see what happens with Cam Hayward, and that's that sort of action. But yeah, there's no doubt that the superstars get the favorite calls. But
and they want to make a moment out of the Super Bowl every year. They need to come up with some kind of storyline to make it all culminate into this one game, so that everybody in the world watches this one game. And for the most part, they're usually dead on. I mean, look what happened last year. Like, the old GOAT has returned to the Super Bowl versus the new GOAT. But this is almost even better situation than that. Like, this is the new Tom Brady versus the old Tom Brady. Like, I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting storyline there.
It's possible. We'll see.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised. The Patriots looking good right now. We know the Bucs are good. So it's a possibility, but we'll get into that. Also, you can already make up your mind on this. I don't know if you voted yet, but the MVP discussion once again this week, we still have no idea. In fact, it seems like every week it gets more and more confusing, and we have less and less of an idea who could possibly be favored. There's still like 15 names at this point with a realistic out. We'll talk about that after the predictions, but we'll get into the game picks here first, knock those out. And by the way, if you're a viewer, you can also think about who your MVP is and vote on the community page on the channel. But let's get into these games. We got the Thanksgiving Day special, of course. The Detroit Lions are hosting the Chicago Bears in a game for the century that I cannot wait to watch.
Oh, man, Tank Bowl. Yeah, the Lions have to play. Who started this? Why do the Lions have to play on Thanksgiving every year? Even like
honestly, I think nobody knows anymore. It's just something that like every new generation just gets told. Well, the Lions and the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving. Why? They just do. It's been that way. They just do. I don't know. I have no clue.
I don't get it. I mean, I don't know. Especially an island game like this. This is just horrible. This is god awful. This is unbearable. You're not going to get ratings out of this game. Even Justin Fields is down, and we got what's his name, Tim Boyle out there. Like, I would rather see Nick Boyle play quarterback than this guy. Like, he was horrible. Bring back David Blau. Like, this is ridiculous. But I guess overall the Bears, maybe Justin Fields will be back and make this game somewhat interesting. I'm not really looking forward to seeing Andy Dalton out there, but I think the Bears will probably go and defeat the Lions because everybody else has.
And this is the saddest game I've seen all year being scheduled so far. With all the all the circumstances, this is just awful. And I'm probably going to end up watching it too. But I'll agree with what you said. I guess the Bears should win it. Of course, the Bears are infinitely better and more watchable and likable with Justin Fields. At least there's something to be excited about. And now it's just the Bears minus Justin Fields, which is not much of anything, and of course the fan base is getting sick of Matt Nagy, and probably he won't survive the season, or at least the off season, and God knows what's going to happen in Detroit. Horrible game. I'll take the Bears, but this is a sad state of affairs. We got the Raiders at the Cowboys.
Yeah, another game that who cares, really? I mean, if you're not a Cowboys fan, nobody's watching this game. Raiders fans are not watching this game because they don't care anymore. This season is going down the toilet. They lost their best receiver. Like, what do they got to play for at this point? Your coach is gone. You know that the season is going downhill. You don't think you're making the playoffs. I don't believe they will. I don't think they even have a chance. Maybe they're still technically, mathematically in the running, but there's no chance the Raiders make the playoffs at this point. Cowboys are missing their two top receivers. A lot of superstar receivers out in this game, obviously. But the Cowboys should still win. It's Dak Prescott. He had a horrible week, but he should put it back together here against the broken Raiders.
Yeah, the Cowboys looked terrible on offense last week. Dak Prescott with kind of a performance that threw himself to kind of the back of the line in the big MVP discussion against Kansas City, who, by the way, seemed pretty good. We'll get to them later. And for the Raiders, they're going 8-1. I said at the start of the season, and it's perfectly on track. They still have to get that one tie, find that one tie somewhere. I'm sure it'll happen. Probably not in this one, because I'll take the Cowboys as well, even though the offense, I have to say, they looked anemic. Without Amari Cooper out there, by the way, it would be a grudge match for him because he was with the Raiders start of his career. But They have not been looking very good. Should be enough to beat the Raiders, though, because Derek Carr is not even in the conversation for MVP, among many other problems that this team is having. So Cowboys win. Not a very exciting schedule there for Thanksgiving, I'd say. Going back to the regularly scheduled program, this might be a bit better. We have the Bills at Saints.
Yeah, I mean, it should be better in all actuality. Both of these teams did not look great last week. The Bills, I don't know what to make of the Bills. They're starting to feel like the Chiefs, where they're up one week and down the next week, and who really knows what to make of them? I mean, I think they're still good. I don't think the rest of the season is going to play out like the last game and the game before the last game before that. I don't know. I think the Bills should get back on track. The Saints are still missing a key component, which is quarterback. So Trevor Siemian, I don't think he gives them an advantage in this. But seeing the way the Bills played last week, who knows? I'll take the Bills on the road, but yeah, I don't really know which way this game could go.
Surely this is the game that Buffalo has to get it right. I mean, they're no longer even leading their division because the Patriots come out of nowhere, won like 5 games in a row, and they're on fire right now. And we all had the Bills penciled in as, this is obvious. They're going to win the division easy and no problem. And then all of a sudden, they fell like from like the 1 seed in the AFC to what, the 5 seed or wild card team or something.
Yeah,
it's not not looking good. You have to win this game at New Orleans. Saints have no identity. Just got blown out by Jalen Hurts of all people, who by the way played. I don't like him. I don't necessarily like him as a quarterback, or don't say a lot of good things about him. But he played well, and he ran the football very well. He showed some good awareness with some of his runs there for sure. But Saints not looking very good. I will take Buffalo as well, but they kind of have to win. It's it's about time. Bucs at Colts.
Yeah. Both of these teams look really good right now. The Colts actually put a whooping on the Bills, speaking of the Bills, but they hurt them. They hurt them really bad. And Jonathan Taylor, we'll talk more about him later. Jonathan Taylor is on fire. Like, what? He was the whole offense in that game. Really, Wentz didn't have to do anything. Taylor did it all. He looked like Derrick Henry out there, and he may just be that good. I mean, he's proven it over a year and a half. He was, a superstar coming into the league, and he has held his own ever since. The Bucs, I guess they pulled out the win over the Giants. It wasn't really impressive, but they beat them, I guess, kind of easily. I think I'll take for the Colts to keep the hot hand here and pull one over on the Bucs.
Man, I really wanted you to take the Bucs so I could take the Colts in this one, because I was going to make a similar argument. The Colts are absolutely on fire, one of the fastest rising teams with some very impressive wins under their belt for sure. Yeah, John Taylor, he was ridiculous. He was doing it all. He was running, he was catching it, scoring touchdowns. That was a very, very strong performance. And in general, this team has been rising very quickly. The defense has been good, and we knew they had this potential. Man, they started the season 1-3, and we thought, what's going on? They should be a playoff team. They should have all this potential. They were not putting it together. They're starting to click, and they are legitimate. They are, and every bit as good, if not better, due to having a better quarterback at this point in his career than they were last year. So the Colts are for real. For this one though, I have to win points against you, so I'm picking the Bucs. I'm just gonna hope that there's going to be some kind of miracle happening. Bucs have a lot of good receivers, and I guess the one weakness you can identify with the Colts defense is a secondary. So maybe if they'll be able to generate enough mismatches with Mike Evans on the outside, the Bucs have a shot. So I will take them, but I do like this as a game. It's going to be an exciting one. The Colts definitely looking strong, but I'll take the Bucs to stop them here. Oh, this one we're all excited for. The Jets at the Texans.
Oh, yeah, another barn burner here. Tank Bowl. Jets, the Texans overall are a better team. Like, going into the season, we thought, well, this has to be the worst team in the league. They're missing at every single position, but the Texans actually are capable of pulling out wins here and there and putting up a fight when they need to. And these two guys, they both have the same record, so it's not like the Texans are any like this dominating team going against the Jets. But I'm going to pick the Texans. Whew, words are hard. I'm going to pick the Texans at home because I'm going to give them the 3 points.
You can't really go and beat the Titans 1 week and then come back the next week and lose to the Jets. It just wouldn't really make sense. So I agree with you. The Texans have to win the game. Just the presence of Tyrod Taylor elevates them from maybe a bottom 3 team to way below average, bottom 10 sort of team. Still nowhere near any sort of contention, but at least some improvement with the veteran presence there. Tyrod Taylor, Davis Mills, I didn't hate what I saw from him at all. I mean, obviously he's a rookie, and he was kind of thrown in with the Sharks there at the beginning of the season. Didn't really expect him to turn out like Justin Herbert. With an interesting parallel, by the way, they were both forced to start whenever Tyrod Taylor got surprisingly hurt in respective rookie seasons. But he may be, getting another shot in the future. Well, we don't know. But just Tyrod Taylor being the veteran makes his team a lot better. So I will take him as well. The Jets, I mean, you're looking at Joe Flacco and Mike White. There's no reason at all to rush Zach Wilson back because you don't have a chance to compete anyway. And he's not going to help you much this year. So let him recover and then bring him back next year. I'll take the Texans to win as well. We have the Eagles at Giants.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, you talked about it earlier. Maybe it is time to give Jalen Hurts his due. I don't know. Hey, he's a good running quarterback. I guess he's got that going for him. Still not the best passer, not by a long shot. So I guess going against the Giants are coming off of another loss. They're not looking good right now. I don't expect them to just turn the season around at this point. I had some high hopes for them if they could get past their O-line problems, but obviously they're not going to. I'll take the Eagles on the road here. This shouldn't be a problem.
I will agree with that. I'll take the Eagles to win as well. And as for Jalen Hurts, he's looking good when the game style and the opposition fits him. And that's sort of the upside, but also the worry that I have about him. I don't think he's a long-term answer, because sooner or later he is going to have to pass and win the game passing. And we've seen a lot of quarterbacks like him who set the league on fire, their first few years. Think of RG3, think of Colin Kaepernick. When they were forced to pass, consequently pass and win games in clutch moments by being a pass-first player, those typically fall off a cliff. And I have not seen from Jalen Hurts the ability to, or anything that would suggest the ability to take the game over as a pass-first player. Whereas you compare that to Lamar Jackson, maybe after his rookie season would have said the same thing. He's thoroughly shown that he can do it all. Kyler Murray, I guess, is kind of in the process of doing similar things as well. For Jalen Hurts, the big filter, the big wall is still in front of him. When that eventually happens next year, maybe, or later this season, it's gonna be something that he has to overcome. I don't see it right now. I have never seen that in him as a passing quarterback, but for the moment, the Giants are not going to be the kind of team that are going to figure him out and shut down the Eagles' offense this week. I don't believe so. So I'll take Philly as well. The Panthers at the Dolphins.
Yeah, I guess I was expecting the Panthers to get a 2-game bump from having Cam Newton back, much like a coach, but I guess that doesn't really play out that way with quarterbacks. However, they weren't terrible. We've seen them worse. It still is a step up over how Sam Darnold was playing. On the other side of the field, though, Tua looks legit. Like, he really does look like the guy that I was trying to tell everyone he was. And I believe in Tua. I still believe in Tua. The Dolphins, I think, could actually have a really good end of the season here and make it into the playoffs. It's going to be hard because of that division, as we talked about, but I think they could pull it off. Even if it's one of those where this division has 3 teams go into the playoffs. But Tua looks good. Jalen Waddle looks good. I'm going to take the Dolphins to take this one at home.
So this is an interesting game to pick. The Dolphins are meteorically on the rise, which is a weird thing to say, by the way, because meteors tend to only fall just at least from our perspective. But Tua. I mean, you've been trying to tell people. I thought I was the one who's hyping Tua. I guess we were silently in agreement about this. But yeah, I totally agree with that. He's one of those situations where he played he played 7 games and people wrote him off and said they should just trade for Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers and then throw Tua out the window. Which is incredible, and I've talked about this so many times, how little proving time quarterbacks get these days. It's like you perform year 1 or you're out the door, at least as far as the media is concerned, which is just insane. I think he possibly has a future. I don't think the coaching staff has. I think there's going to be some revamp that needs to be done in Miami, but I think Tua, you can build around him. He stays healthy, he's going to be fine. Now for this game, I'm going to take the Panthers because first of all, I want to disagree with you. And second of all, I think this defense has been getting a lot stronger. Like, the defense has sort of been very, has sort of had an approach that was very up and down. Like, kind of like we talked about their offense as well. First 3 or 4 games of the season, they had the best run defense in the league, hands down, bar none. They also had one of the best rushing attacks at the same time, and that's why they went 3-0. And Christian McCaffrey, Sam Darnold were running all over people. You mentioned that Cam Newton's an upgrade over Sam Darnold. He's an upgrade over Sam Darnold the way he played the past few weeks. He's not an upgrade over him the way he played at the start of the season, but if you can't reliably have that, you at least like to have Cam Newton there, who can do it. He's been playing better than I thought he would after seeing him last year in New England, when I thought he's done. He's done for sure. He's washed up. There's no point. He's lost effectively the ability to run the way he did, and he's never been the greatest passer, but he's even declined there. He's doing fine. He's never going to be prime Cam Newton again, but he's a serviceable starter. I'll take the Panthers to win this with the pass rush, with the run defense that they have to limit the game, the offensive game for the Dolphins enough, and looking for them to step up one more time, because Carolina is still in the wild card hunt for the NFC. The Falcons lost, so there's a lot of possibilities still there, and the Dolphins are a team you have to beat because they're not that strong. On paper, at least. Obviously, momentum is with Miami, but I believe the Panthers can overcome this. Titans at the Patriots.
Yeah, speaking of momentum, that's what this game comes down to, I think, is momentum. Just looking at it on paper, you would say, well, the Titans should easily beat the Patriots, right? I mean, they've been on a tear up until this past week, where they got stomped out by the Texans. And I guess stomped out may not be the word for it. I mean, it was 9 points, which is still crazy because it was the Texans. And on the other side of the field, the Patriots completely dominated 25-0 over the Falcons. Thank you. I don't never want to hear about that game ever again. I'm going to take the Patriots because this is the scenario that the NFL needs to play out.
Okay, so that we're like the conspiracy theory you came up with less than 20 minutes ago is already established lore now.
Yes.
We're going with that. Okay, so that was a quick transition. I having a tough time picking this game because you said momentum, and you're completely right about that. The Patriots are looking unstoppable these past few weeks, and the Titans are looking horrible, at least the last week. You can't just lose to Houston and say everything's fine. Maybe everything is fine, but how am I ever gonna trust them again, right? If they pull out one of those howlers, and now going and playing Bill Belichick is maybe not exactly what you want for a bounce back game. So this is a very, very tough one to pick. I will agree with you, and I will take the Patriots. I probably should pick the Titans just to be able to disagree, but they've been looking so strong, and it's really, really tough to pick against Bill Belichick. I mean, over the past, 4 games, the Patriots have outscored the opposition 120-0 or something like that. And they've pitched shoutouts, and you are the most recent victim of that with the Falcons.
Thank you.
Yeah, this team is dangerous, and we know this too. When this defense gets rolling, and it has been for decades, by the way, these past 2 decades, and been the central part of all these championship teams, they're ferocious, and they're still there. And I know a lot of people, including you, don't really like to hear it, but we're not going to get rid of the Patriots. It seems like not so easy. And when Tom Brady left, we're all talking about who's gonna succeed, and we're talking about is Brady gonna do well? Are the Patriots gonna do well? And it seems like maybe the answer is just they're both really good, and they're both just successful on their own. That's currently what it looks like. I know you don't like that at all, but we're not going to be rid of this team anytime soon, I think, so I'll take the Patriots. Steelers at Bengals.
Yeah, I started praising Joe Burrow, and he hasn't really played well since then. It's kind of sad. Like, I'm disappointed. I wanted to believe in Joe Burrow. I finally came around to Joe Burrow, and he's played kind of bad ever since. He's coming off a really bad game, and then this one, they won. It was the Raiders, so make of that what you will. But it was all Joe Mixon. It was kind of like Jonathan Taylor with the Colts, This game was won by the running back. I'm not sure, man. I'm hoping Joe Burrow can get back to what he was before the past 3 weeks. At the first part of the season, Joe Burrow was on fire. The Steelers, on the other hand, are still mediocre to less, depending on which quarterback is in there. And I don't have any faith in Mason Rudolph, and I don't have any faith in Big Ben right now. So I'm going to go with the Bengals because they're at home, and I hope Joe Burrow gets back on track.
I saw a quarterback ranking today being posted that I was looking at, and it was advertising. The headline was that Jimmy G is like rising through the ranks. So I clicked on it, looked at it, and they had Jimmy a couple spots up, which was good, and then they had Ben Roethlisberger one spot ahead of Mac Jones, and I was I was kind of questioning my reality at that point. I was kind of thinking back to the last few games, and I came to the conclusion that they were clearly insane when they wrote that article. So in this particular case, I'm gonna take the Bengals. I'll take the Bengals to win it. I think we've talked about this being sort of a tight division, which it still seems to be, and we have, by the way, the other divisional matchup as well coming up later on the slate. But Joe Burrow should be able to get back into the groove, and it's not necessarily a bad thing to have a running game, something like bail you out a little bit, help you out sometimes. You don't have to be Aaron Rodgers. No one except for Aaron Rodgers has to be Aaron Rodgers, because no one has as bad of a support as Aaron Rodgers has. And the Bengals are looking good. They have a decent running game. They have, of course, Jamar Chase, decent receiving core. They can play defense. They're a decent team. At the end of the day, Joe Burrow's effectiveness is going to determine how far this team goes, but to beat the Steelers, I think it's going to be enough. Steelers hung in there with the Chargers, but lost to the young upstart quarterback. I think that's going to happen again with a team that kind of has to find the long-term answer at quarterback themselves. I'll take the Bengals and Joe Burrow to win it. Your Falcons, who lost to 0, by the way, last week.
Thank you.
At the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You know what? Can you go ahead and give your take first?
Okay, yeah, I can do that. I will take the Falcons because the Jaguar. I saw the Jaguars like firsthand because I watched the Niners game and they looked absolutely terrible. They looked horrible. Like I think they had 28 seconds of time of possession in the first quarter, and then another 2 minutes in the second quarter, because they went basically. The Niners had like a 14-minute drive. The Jaguars went 3 and out. Niners had a 7-minute drive. Jaguars fumbled on the first play, and then later they scored a touchdown in garbage time, and but looked completely discombobulated offensively. Defensively, the rhythm just isn't there. A lot of work has to be done, and the Falcons are 4-6, by the way. I know we like to talk about them as like being a bottom 5 team, and down there with the Lions and the Texans, like contending for the first overall draft. But they've won 4 games. They've beaten acceptable teams. I know they're not looking in good shape right now. They probably have blown their playoff hopes last week when they lost to the Patriots, which was to 0, by the way. But I think they should beat the Jaguars, and that's why I'll take them. Curious to hear your opinion.
3 points in the past 2 games. Like, my heart says pick the Falcons, And I know the Jaguars are horrible, and they can play really bad at home as well, but so can the Falcons. The Falcons right now can play bad anywhere. It doesn't make sense coming off of that win to the Saints, a fairly mediocre to good Saints, I guess. It was Trevor Siemian, so maybe that was the
average Saints.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. My heart says pick the Falcons, but I think I want to pick the Jaguars just to go opposite of you. And I don't know. Like, this game really could go either way. The Falcons could come out and dominate this game and win by 25 points. Or they could just put up no points again and lose by 10. So, I'll go with the Jags.
Bold prediction for this game is that the Falcons score points. They're not going to get shut out.
That's really bold at this point.
Yeah, that is very bold. That's sort of the Belichick special. I don't think that's going to happen at Jacksonville. But all right, well, we disagree. Maybe I can bless the Falcons into winning by picking them. Maybe I chase them. I don't know. Chargers at Broncos.
Well, Justin Herbert looked great. He's back on his game there. I don't know that he automatically threw his name back in the MVP race, but he actually looked good in this game. Him and Keenan actually hooked up really well there early in the game. Broncos are still mediocre. I don't know. There's not much to say about the Broncos. Like, the whole team is just mediocre. Their receiver core, which should be phenomenal, they're just mediocre. Teddy Bridgewater is mediocre. That defense is completely mediocre. What are they right now? 5-5 or something like that? Yeah, there's not much to say about the Broncos. I'll take the Chargers on the road here. They're a better team.
I will fully agree with that. I like to see the Chargers. They're a very dynamic team, and if they're clicking, they are still one of the hottest teams in the league, and they have a lot of potential even this year. So I like what they're building. I have full faith in Brandon Staley, much more so than I did in previous coaching staffs. I think they're still in the first year of that let's not call it a rebuild, but of that I guess period, and they're gonna be good for a long time in the future, I believe that. And you mentioned the name. I wanted to call it out as well. Keenan Allen, man, it's so great to see him succeed. I wanted to just make that point at some point, because I remember that early in his career, like the first 3 or 4 years, I mean, he got hurt every year, and we knew that if he stays healthy, he could have a top 5 season, because we knew he had the talent, and he had to play with Phillip Rivers, which was very, very good situation for him. It's good to see him finally be healthy for the past while, and to show his potential. I've probably drawn this parallel before with Will Fuller, but I've seen a lot of Will Fuller in him as well, and he's gone through similar situations where he just can't really seem to stay healthy. But good to see that Keenan Allen has finally established himself. He's definitely sort of a top 10, top 15 receiver, certainly better than anything Aaron Rodgers has on his roster. So Keenan Allen, I don't know. I mean, I guess Aaron Rodgers himself is on Aaron Rodgers' roster, so I guess that would count. I'm not sure, but yeah, Chargers to win it. I like the Chargers. It's weird. They're an LA sports team. I still like them, I guess, because they weren't in LA whenever I start watching. Or else
I'm still a California team, though.
Well, but that's fine. See, that's not what I have a problem with. It's specifically just hashtag beat LA, right? But.
Yeah.
Maybe if they'd always been there, I might not like him, but I do. Speaking of LA and Aaron Rodgers, we have the Rams at the Packers.
And I'm pretty sure you don't like the Rams.
I don't like the Rams.
Yeah, both of these teams are coming off horrible losses. The Rams were on bye, but they had a horrible loss before the bye. Like
two horrible losses.
Yeah, two back to back. Yeah, Jesus, not quite as bad as the Falcons, but they were down there. And the Packers got beat up last week. I guess. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I called that. I told you. Go back and listen to the show last week. I actually told you, like, I was going to pick the Packers because it's just the smart thing to do. But the Vikings, I told you, like, there's a good chance. I had this feeling that the Vikings were going to just sneak up, and this was the buzzsaw game. And it happened. It really did. Although the Packers put up points, so I guess you can't hold them to too much. But this one, I'm expecting Stafford and the Rams to get back on track. It's tough. It really is a tough game. This is the game of the week right here. I'll pick the Rams because I'm pretty sure you're picking the Packers.
I will pick the Packers, which is kind of surprising for me to do it because this looks so much like the dreaded NFC Championship game where Aaron Rodgers and 10 other traffic cones run into the super team of the NFC for that year. And by the way, speaking of last week, I mean, I don't know how many times it's like every week the same thing happens, or basically the same thing happens. Aaron Rodgers was the best quarterback last week. He was probably the best player last week, put up the best stat line, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns.
He did.
Just the best passer rating by far. And the Packers managed to lose the game somehow because the one time that Aaron Rodgers has to rely on anyone but himself due to a circumstance not 100% in his own control because he doesn't get the ball when they're on defense.
Yeah,
unfortunately, he's not really, he's not really a defender. And if he were, they'd probably won the game because he would have caught that interception that Darnell Savage dropped. If Aaron Rodgers would have caught that, I'm sure he would have. But somehow he doesn't play defense, so he lost with no fault of his own, still being the best player in the league. And again, making a case for the MVP better than he could by ever winning a game, like he has earlier this year. So this is a perfect opportunity to pick the Rams again and say, same thing is going to happen. But the Rams look so terrible these last 2 weeks. They have to show me that they're out of that slump. Mm-hmm. And Matthew Stafford has played himself out of an MVP conversation those 2 weeks. Back-to-back terrible losses. Defense has not been looking good. All the star additions, Miller, Odell Beckham, no impact so far. They need to bounce back, and despite us talking up the Packers defense for once and saying, they're not terrible this week, and then instantly they've blown their game away. In true Packers fashion, I think they'll be able to get it together, and Aaron Rodgers is gonna beat the Rams. We have the Vikings at Niners.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. This whole season has been like this. It's been up and down for every single team. There hasn't been one completely dominant team all the way through. There hasn't been one completely bad team all the way through. It's just been up and down for everyone.
Maybe the Lions have kind of been bad.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the Lions. Yeah, that's the exception. I was gonna say maybe the Jaguars too, but they've had games where they looked like they were somewhat formidable. But
they beat the Bills.
Yeah. And what was it, like 10 points scored total in that game?
9-6, I think.
Yeah. But anyway, the Vikings and the Niners. I went back and forth on this game because the Vikings are coming off of a very good win over the Packers because of the horrible defense, as you said. And the Niners are coming off of a very good win over said Jaguars. It's at home for the Niners, so I'm going to go ahead and pick the Niners and give them the 3 points. I think this is really a mediocre team matchup right here. I'm sure you have some feelings about the Niners being better than mediocre, but I look at both of these teams as 8-8-1 or 8-9 or 9-8 at the end of the season.
So record-wise, that is correct. I will say, though, this is a matchup of two teams that are significantly better than their record states. Both of them, not just the Niners, the Vikings as well. And the Vikings are a legitimate contender, I believe, and they have lost a lot of close games. Niners lost a lot of close games, or rather, stupidly lost a lot of games. And also, of course, both teams have dealt with injuries. In this one, interestingly enough, the Niners are exactly 3-point favorites, so that home field really comes into play for the bookmakers there. And this is the game where I flip the coin, and don't flip the coin, but I pick whatever you don't. So I'm going to go with the Vikings on this one. I really don't want to, but you picked the Niners, so I have to pick the Vikings. Both teams are on a major hot streak. And by the way, you called the Rams and Packers the game of the week. I think this is the game of the week, and I'm not being a homer about this. This is the most pivotal game in the NFL playoff picture this week, because these two teams are currently both on the cusp of the playoff bubble. This is going to be the game for the wild cards, for a wild card spot. The Falcons lost. The Panthers are not looking too great. It's going to be down to these two And these two are the heavy favorites. The Seahawks are kind of out of it. These two are the heavy favorites to battle out the wild card spot. And this is to me the more important, because the Rams and the Packers, they're both going to make the playoffs anyway. They're not going to lose their divisions. Manage somehow to maybe the Rams might, but they at least have a wild card with their record. So this is the one for the wild card spot, and this is my game of the week. I'll take the Vikings. Don't want to, but I have to. Browns at the Ravens.
Yeah. Oh man, Baker looks bad. Like, he looks like he is hurt. There's no reason for him to be out there playing at this time. All he's doing is hurting the team, in my opinion. I don't know. Could it be that much worse to just bring him out? Like, yeah, okay, so they got the win. It was over the Lions by 3 points. You scored 13 points in a win. I guess you'll take them how you can get them, but I don't think the Browns are going anywhere this year, especially not in this game, not against the Ravens. The Ravens won with their backup, while the Browns barely won with their starter. And overall, Lamar should be back, and he's much better than Baker in the first place, especially an injured Baker. Hopefully, Lamar can get over whatever sickness he has, and he'll be back, and the Ravens will take this one easily at home.
Yep, totally agree with everything you said. Not much to add there. And as for the Browns, I mean, the season's not going so well. I know you wanted to make the playoffs. You did very well last season, surprised a lot of people, and you wanted to build on that. But obviously, Baker Mayfield's hurt. You have to make a lot of contract decisions, by the way, at the end of the season, this offseason as well. How much better, realistically, is a Baker Mayfield with 3 different injuries to a healthy Case Keenum? And the answer is it's not that much. It's not that much of a spread, like you basically already alluded to. So I'm assuming he's gonna keep starting. Not sure. Don't have the intel on the Browns there, but either way, the Ravens should win, especially with Lamar back. They should have a much better offensive firepower, and beat the Browns handily. So I will take them as well. And then we have, this is a big letdown on Monday night. We have the Seahawks at the Washington Footballs.
I'm sure when the schedule was being made, they were thinking this actually is probably going to be a great game here. That'll be a good island game. But no, both of these teams suck right now. I'll take that back. Taylor Heineke and Washington are coming off of 2 great wins, and one of them over the Bucs. That's pretty amazing. I commend them for that. And then they beat the Cam Newton's, the returning Cam Newton, and the Panthers. Seahawks, they're on a downward spiral. I don't know. I don't think they're going to pull it together. I think this is probably the worst year for the Seahawks since Russell Wilson showed up in Seattle. I'll take Washington at home here to win this one.
So, if I told you that the 2 quarterbacks in this game, Russell Wilson, Taylor Heineke, one of them is a top 5 quarterback over the past 5 weeks. One of them is a bottom 5 quarterback. In fact, not the bottom 5, but the worst quarterback in the league. I guarantee you, without context, you would not get it right, because Taylor Heineke is, in fact, the top 5 quarterback. Along with, by the way, guys like Mac Jones and Jimmy Garoppolo, a lot of weirdness going on there, but yeah, they've been looking decent. I mean, Taylor Heineke might be someone to look out for next season. I don't see why you can't try and build around him for a bit, because obviously you've been let down mostly by your defense, and this was supposed to be a defensive team. Judging from how they look with their pass rush last season, they were supposed to get better. Chase Young ended up getting hurt and didn't perform very well by himself when he was healthy. So this defense was a big letdown for the team. The offense is serviceable and has the potential to get better. I think they might have something there. I'm not gonna put all the chips in that basket, of course, but Taylor Heineke might be back next year, and we'll see what happens with them. But Seattle's been looking horrible, but all of that to say that I'm going to pick Seattle because I desperately need points against you. And by the way, the spread in the sports books is not that big. This is a 1-point spread.
Really?
So yeah, this is almost a pick'em. I guess the Russell Wilson magic, if people are still waiting for him any day now to come back. But you gotta wonder, is this sort of coming to an end there, the Pete Carroll era? Because the Seahawks have never been this bad since Pete Carroll was head coach, which he's been for 11 years. Kind of makes you wonder. I would not be too unhappy about that franchise collapsing utterly and going 0-17 next year. But that's my that is my personal agenda.
Without Russell.
With or without him, I don't.
You think they'll go 0-16 with Russell there?
I don't know. I mean, the way he's playing right now,
yeah, right now. But he's still injured, though, I guess.
But if you come out and play, you got to play. And if you're injured, stay out. But yeah, if he was injured, he would stay out because they have nothing to play for anyway, and nothing to really gain. So I'll take Seattle because I must for our betting, but I'm not feeling great about it. We have the Cardinals and the Chiefs on bye. Chiefs are feeling good going to the bye week because they are top of their division now. They've won a lot of games. They seem to be somewhat back in the groove. Cardinals feel good about the bye as well because Colt McCoy's been excellent, and that's another week for Kyler Murray to get healthy. So
listen, the Chiefs are 7-4, but that was not an impressive win. 19-9 over the Cowboys, and Mahomes had a bad game.
That's true. He wasn't like the MVP Mahomes, but it was the Cowboys, who are pretty decent on defense, especially.
Yeah, it was a defensive battle. That's what it was. That was a straight defensive battle for two teams that are known for their defenses as well.
Cowboys are pretty good on defense. Sneaky good. Cowboys are very strong on defense. I think that's one of their bigger weapons, really. Especially the rookies.
But so is KC, which is weird though because these two teams are not traditionally known for their defenses.
Yeah, Kansas City is has like one good defensive game, just against Dallas now. So I wouldn't necessarily call them a good defense. I don't think they have a particularly good defense in general. They're okay.
I mean, I guess the Cowboys were without their two number one stars though.
I'd be more comfortable calling the Cowboys a defensive team than the Chiefs for sure.
Yeah, probably so.
But they're both on bye, Chiefs and Cardinals, so they'll be happy about that one. Moving into the eternal MVP debate, and I can already take this away. We have absolutely no idea. In fact, every week we become more clueless, but the poll is out on my community page. You can go vote who your MVP is. Unsurprisingly, the winner of last week's poll was other, because I'm only able to set 5 different options, and there's currently about 12 people that could totally legitimately receive votes. So I can only name 4 people, and others I have to basically pick 4 people out of a hat. It doesn't mean that those 4 are necessarily the odds-on favorites right now. I just pick 4 people that come to mind, and then other, and then I'm expecting other to be sort of the dominant force there. But who do you have this week?
I'm pivoting away from a quarterback at this point. I mean, overall, the best performer at quarterback this season so far is Aaron Rodgers. But like I said, I don't think he's going to win it. I don't think they're going to pick him. And if it comes down to this parity at quarterback outside of Aaron Rodgers like it is right now, I think they're going to pivot away from quarterback this season. If it were to end right now, I'm picking Jonathan Taylor as the MVP.
I kind of felt like you were going to pick him when you said earlier we're going to talk about him again. Yes. And I've heard a lot of talk because he had a great game. I've heard a lot of talk about him kind of going into that MVP conversation. And one thing that's true is if ever a non-quarterback were to have a chance, it's this year. Mm-hmm. Because there's just no quarterback that's just a clear favorite right now. Now, you said Aaron Rodgers was, if the vote were perfectly logical and perfectly honest, Aaron Rodgers would win every year. I've said this many times, but that's not how the vote happens. There's a myriad of reasons that he's probably not going to win this year. Number one, he won it last year, and that's just not good TV. If at all possible, they won't vote for someone 2 years in a row. He missed one game. He was completely terrible in another game. So now he lost. Of course, you could argue he lost the divisional game as well. So he's probably not going to be it. But then there's no one else who's a clear favorite. So to me, I've been pivoting back and forth between a handful of guys, pretty much. Like for the past 8 weeks or so. And I was on Josh Allen for the past 2 weeks. He played badly, lost another game. So I'm moving off of him because just a single game can make a difference now week to week. And I'm going back to Justin Herbert because he he seemed like the best performer outside of Aaron Rodgers, and he also won his game. So Justin Herbert, my pick again. By the way, it's gonna take like 1 or 2 more games, by the way, for me to pick Mac Jones for real. We're not that far. We are not that far off picking Mac Jones, and he's my runaway favorite for the offensive rookie of the year at this point, with Jamar Chase kind of declining a little bit in the wake of that entire Bengals offense not looking so good. But yeah, he is like 2 more games. Let the Patriots win, like comfortably win to this week. A tough game against Tennessee, and Mac Jones look good again. Man, he's in there. He is firmly in that conversation. As for this week, picking Justin Herbert. By the way, a name we haven't mentioned at all. And this is weird because we've mentioned like half the league, but a name we've never mentioned and we really should mention is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. I mean,
by all metrics, he just won. First of all, he just won. And he played not much worse than Aaron Rodgers. But he played well.
He hasn't played bad. Well, he hasn't played bad ever in his entire career. He's always been just mediocre or slightly above average, you know?
He has for the most part, but by all metrics, this year he's top 5.
Yeah, I haven't really looked that too much into his stats.
Good passer rating, good stats. He's competitive for sure, and the Vikings could easily have 7 or 8 wins at this point.
Yeah, they could. But I think overall the final win tally does matter in the voting for the MVP. So
it does.
Unless they just go on a tear for the rest of the season, I don't think it's going to happen for them.
It certainly will. Maybe we should stop discussing the MVP and getting into the others, like offensive, defensive player of the year. Because MVP, we just have no clarity at all.
No, not at all.
But we'll see how that develops. Just quickly, who would your offensive, defensive players be right now?
Oh man, I want to say Jonathan Taylor, but that might actually end up being the MVP. Man, offensive rookie of the year. I still think Najee is in the running. Defensive, man. Who do you have for defensive right now? Player
for defensive player or rookie?
Either one, both.
Rookie, I'll go like 100% the Dallas Cowboy. It's either Diggs or Micah Parsons. I'm not sure exactly who, but it has to be one of them. Almost certainly. And defensive player of the year is a bit tougher. I'm tending toward TJ Watt, but there's a lot of possibilities there. That's not so clear, I think.
I don't think so. But yeah, I don't know. I guess Diggs.
Definitely possible.
Yeah.
Leads the league in interceptions by a good.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does.
That is a very, very helpful stat to have on your side. So
he's the new Stephon Gilmore, by the way.
Yeah.
At one point in time, I thought it was going to be Jalen. Our boy Jalen out with the Rams. But.
He's not been doing too. He's been doing more talking than anything else. Aaron Donald, same. Like for the kind of caliber players they are, and they're still really good. For the caliber players, they're kind of having down years. Both Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's probably not going to be the winner now.
I'll go with Trayvon Diggs also.
All right, so for defensive rookie.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just pick TJ Watt for defensive player. Offensive player, I mean, I guess today I picked Jonathan Taylor likely if he's not an MVP. Other than that, other guys I can see Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel are sort of the two remaining players that I would seriously consider for the offensive player of the year. But maybe we'll be able to get into those discussions more as the weeks progress. So that's our picks. Our picks for the games, for our MVPs as well. Let us know what you think about the schedule. Who's your MVP? You can go vote on my channel page. And again, I had to only put 5. I only had 5 options, so don't be miffed if the guy you want to vote for is not named specifically. I can only name 4 people and use other. So vote other and comment who it's gonna be in your opinion. So that's that. In terms of the fantasy world, fantasy season's getting to the hot phase. I'm already pretty much done for. I'm 4-7, but a lot of people are not. So, what kind of advice do you have, or what are we going to be hearing from you this week?
Yeah, well, we're getting ready for the playoffs, as you alluded to. And I'm going to talk about what is the best strategy to get your team ready for the playoffs. There's only a few weeks left. Some teams actually start after week 12. So there's a lot of leagues that are going to go into week 13 as the playoff. So you really have not much time left at all. But for most of us, you got 2 to 3, maybe 4 in some cases because of the extended season. You need to know the best strategy for going into the playoffs, and we will talk about that.
That's gonna be an interesting one. Not relevant for me. I won't make the playoffs. I'm still on a high note though in fantasy because I won my matchup last week decisively, and I also I can feel good about myself because my opponent elected to start Matt Ryan and keep Aaron Rodgers on the bench.
Oh no!
Difference of 31 points. So Matt Ryan who scored like 3 points.
Jesus, who did you play? God.
That was a lucky one for me.
Yeah.
For sure, because if other than that, I might have lost. I won by like 25, 25, 30 points. So that alone would have made up for a lot. Because I started Joe Burrow myself, and he scored 10 points.
I had some tough losses this past week, especially with Zeke not doing much and injuries, players being out, the Rams being on bye. That hurts, you know.
I gotta start putting Brandon Ayuk in. I've had him all season. Like, scared to put him in ever because he's been so bad at the start. Now he finally gets involved in the offense.
I think you can play him now.
Scored 21 points again. I think it's time for him. I think I've got him in flex right now.
He may have a down game or two, but I think you can play Debo and Ayuk together.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough.
I wish I had Debo.
Yeah. Oh, I bet you do.
That's the league winner. I do not have Debo. But to anyone who is still competing in fantasy this year and who may have a chance at the playoffs, definitely check out the Hurry Up Offense coming up later today. Fantasy tips in 10 minutes or less, or maybe a bit more, somewhere around the 10-minute mark usually. So make sure to check that out. Let us know your predictions and your MVP in the poll on my channel page. And other than that, thank you for watching, and we're going to see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check